Okay, thank you, Kris, for the joy of this evening, and for the fact that I feel very rich in meeting you, and I'm grateful to Ion Bukur who's here, and I say hi to Lavinia, and so a big family.
Yes.
A very quiet family, in a way, in a powerful way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always a joy coming and being here with you. Thanks for inviting me back.
Thank you. So we are here in a very Buddhist place in a way, but I think we may start from this. Buddha, it's the representation of the Buddha.
Mm-hmm.
So the awakened one, the one who is awakened.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see it in the terms of the power of quiet, awakening?
Well, very much what we practice here to achieve quiet is exactly what Buddha taught.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see, Buddha had enunciated what he called the fourfold noble truth, that life is suffering, and the cause of suffering is desire. Therefore, if you end desire, you end suffering. So in practice, that's exactly what we teach. And the difference is that, so Buddha, his method to undo desire is a method of meditation, which is a great method. But meditation itself is a passive method of quieting the mind. You see, what you're doing when you're meditating, whether it's through yoga or using a mantra, is you're focusing on one thing.
Okay.
And by focusing on one thing, you're not listening to the rest of the mind for that period of time. So slowly over time, by doing that, the mind gets quieter and quieter. And then you realize that desire just melts away. Now, what we teach is the same principle, but in an active sense. We show you how to identify the desire and let it go right in the moment.
We first have to be in touch with our desires.
Yeah. And so it's something that is very obvious when you're in the real world. Now, just going back to the difference like with meditating. See, one of the things that you cannot do with meditation is if you're in your real life out in the world and somebody's in your face threatening you or giving you a hard time, you can't always say, I'm going to go meditate for a couple hours. Can we come back and resume this? Right? But what we teach you is a tool that you can use right in the moment, so that if someone's in your face, you feel that desire that gets activated in a certain way. You feel it, and now you have a tool to release it right there in the moment.
So the movement to react in that particular moment to, for example, a 150 kilos muscle person, yes? You release the movement, the aggressive movement that the other stimulating you.
Yeah, it's your own feeling.
Yeah.
And see, we think that others are responsible for our feelings. That person did it to me, or that situation. But really, they're only triggering a feeling that's already inside of you. See, who said you had to feel that way? And when that feeling gets triggered, where did it come from? Inside of you. It didn't pass through them to you. It was already inside of you. Subconscious. So in a way, they actually are doing you a favor, because they're pointing out something that's inside of you, some negativity that's bothering you. And most of us, you see, we don't have a tool to deal with it right in the moment. So what we try to do is the next best thing. If somebody stirs up a frustration, anger, or fear, in the moment we don't like how that feels. And we try to push it back down, suppress it again. Yeah. But what we show you is a way to just let it go right on the spot.
We was talking before recording about that very nice moving with extreme counseling and stop it.
Yes, that Mad TV skit with Bob Uhart. Yeah.
What you're saying is you're claustrophobic.
Yes, that's it.
All right, well, let's go, Catherine. I'm going to say 2 words to you right now. I want you to listen to them very, very carefully. Then I want you to take them out of the office with you and incorporate them into your life.
Well, shall I write them down?
Well, if it makes you comfortable, it's just 2 words. We find most people can remember them.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay, here they are.
Stop it!
I'm sorry?
Stop it!
Stop it?
Yes, S-T-O-P, new word, I-T.
So, what are you saying?
You know, it's funny. I say 2 simple words, and I cannot tell you the amount of people who say exactly the same thing you're saying. I mean, this is not Yiddish, Catherine. This is English.
Stop it!
So, I should just stop it.
There you go.
Very funny.
So stop it. For many of the technicians from the field of psychotherapy, this is a kind of avoiding. Yeah. So we may not see simplicity there. We may see avoidance. How do you clarify for us the difference between simplicity and avoiding?
Yeah, well, I'm not so sure about avoiding, but talking about simplicity. When we get involved with our thinking, we get involved with complexity. And that's, like, if you look at that skit, see where Bob Uhart is coming from is very, very simple. But his subject, his patient there, can't grasp it because she's lost in her thinking. She's trying to figure out, well, how do I just stop it? I don't have that frame of reference, and she's trying to, and it's impossible. And she's trying to understand it through her mind. And in the mind, you can get lost in it. Whereas where Bob Newhart is coming from is, don't think about it, just do it.
Don't think of, so the mind, complexity and mind. Complexity means the mind. Mind means conceptual mind, cognitive mind, but also the emotions, both of them. So this is the mind, yes? Or the mind includes also desire, emotion, and cognitive representations. All 3 levels.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's so. How do you see it?
Well, there are basically 3 aspects to the mind. The first aspect is what we call the sensing aspect. We sense things through our 5 senses. Like we feel that it's hot or that it's cold. And that's something that us humans have as well as animals. Animals have that too. And the second aspect of the mind is this aspect of the mind that is recording and playback aspect. If you really examine your mind, it's not a complicated thing. All it does is records things and then it plays them back to you, whether you want to listen to it or not. So, for example,
we are memory-based beings.
Yeah. So the mind, in a way, is just like a computer. It's just recording things, it's storing that information, and it's playing it back to you. And I'll give you...
Also, emotions. It's an emotional recorder in a way.
Yeah, that's where we get hung up with it, because then our emotions get triggered and we really get locked into it. But I'll give you an example. So, like you're going through your day and somebody says something that stirs up your emotions, right? Like they just say something nasty to you. But notice what your mind does all the rest of the day. It plays that whole scene back to you. Oh, you know what they said. Oh, you know what I should have said. Oh, I wish I would have said that. And it just repeats it over and over and over again.
As if trying to better solve the situation that it's always in the past. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just playing it again and again. So really it's just like a tape machine, recording and playing it back. So this is the second aspect of the mind. This recording and playback aspect. And we have this, and animals have it. So if you take a baby elephant and you tie a rope around its leg and tie that to a stake in the ground where it can't move, it records into its mind, as long as this rope is around my leg, I can't move. Now when it grows up and it's like 3 or 4 tons, they tie the same little rope around its leg, and oftentimes they even tie the other end off to a stake. But because it's recorded that as long as this rope is around my leg, I can't move, it doesn't even try. So here's where we get really in trouble with this recording and playback aspect. It's running on automatic. So therefore, we are becoming like a program, an automatic program based on the past. Now, the third aspect of the mind is the discriminating aspect, the ability to discriminate. And this is something that us humans have that animals don't have, the ability to discriminate. For example, most animals, there are only like a very select few that don't do this. If you put an animal like in front of a mirror, they don't recognize that it's a reflection of themselves. Like a dog will think it's another dog and start barking at it. And they do this as a test, for awareness. Like they'll put some sort of like peanut butter or something on the animal. And most of them don't recognize that that's them. But there are a few, like an orangutan and certain primates, that they'll go, oh wait, that's on me. So the ability, those animals don't have the ability to discriminate, but we do if we use it. And when we start discriminating, we take ourselves off of automatic and out of this repetition in the mind. So, for example, say you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off and they slam on the brakes and they give you a rude gesture. Now first, the automatic might kick in. Your blood starts boiling, you get angry, and before you know it, you're chasing this person down, speeding after them to pull up to them at the next red light, and then you're going to roll down your window and tell them what you think about them. But then you look and they're like 150 kilos of all muscle. And then the discrimination starts kicking in. Oh, maybe I shouldn't mess with this person. So the ability to discriminate is to see things clearly, take yourself off of automatic, and make what we call a rational decision, a truthful decision in the moment. Yeah.
Okay, so those are the 3 layers of the mind. So we are coming on the roots of this line of ideas.
So now, realizing this, we can start looking at our mind in a different way and start examining our life in a different way, seeing how much of our life is running on automatic. We're being run by our feelings, run by our thinking. And really what happens is when we start to discriminate, we stop our thinking, and then we can start undoing the mind and start pulling out all of these automatic recordings.
Yeah, I think only this phrase can solve the problems of humanity, in a way, all the problems of humanity. We have starting those ideas from stop it, yes. So the key is, how can you make the shift? How can you stop it?
Yeah.
We're all searching the key for stopping, because we are seeing lots of people trying. They are trying yoga, they are trying nutrition, and then they are jogging, and then they are trying psychology, and so on and so on and so on. Just to find this, how to stop, how to change. And then they think, some of them, that they have gained the change, they are in another level, and after 6 months they are again in the same way of repetition. What I said, that is it a real picture of this world, or it's my interpretation? How do you see it?
Well, to be honest, I mean, with yoga and these other practices, there's nothing wrong with it. They're all achieving the same result, to quiet the mind.
Okay.
And going back to Buddha, you know, he said, you know, life is suffering, and the cause of suffering is desire. So all that desire creates the thinking that goes on and creates all this noise and commotion in our mind.
And then
We wouldn't have all these thoughts unless we had desire. If you examine all your thinking, it's, how do I get this? How do I achieve that? How do I avoid that? How do I solve this problem?
Okay, so
You know, how do I
desire.
find happiness?
Desire. Freud said, and we agree, and with Buddha, that the object and the subject, the root of object and subject is desire. It's this movement. And then he said, what is nirvana? Nirvana means to quiet, and in a way to put your inner energy in a level, in a very subtle, very low level, with no excitements. And he said this is not a possible condition from a living human being.
Oh, it
Only
is.
a dead people experience, but not experience.
Yeah.
So this is
Well,
the
you've probably heard, you know, and certain teachers say the trick is to die before you die.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So is it possible to die before you die? Is it possible to have not a nirvana experience, because nirvana, it's a term, it's a concept, but to have a mind, a clear and empty, not an empty, a very sensitive mind, but with not this kind of phantasmagoria inside?
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a number of ways to do it, including yoga and so on. It's just all about quieting the mind. Now, what we show you in the Power of Quiet is a deeper way and faster way of quieting the mind. Because if you look at it this way, you talk about the mind and thinking and all the noise, and you're also talking about the emotions, and we're also talking about desire. So these things are layered. Now, for every emotion that we have, it stirs up a lot of thinking. So we have anger inside, but then we have all the stories about what makes us angry and what's not working for us in our lives. So you could say for every emotion, you have 1,000 thoughts tied to that emotion. Now, why do we have emotions? Why do we get angry? Why do we get fearful? It's because of desire. Like if we get angry, it's because we're not getting what we want. And if we're fearful, it's a desire to protect this body, to be safe and survive, that sort of a thing. Now, for every desire, that we have. We have a lot of emotions attached to it. So here's the thing, if we can get rid of one emotion, like one unit of anger, we let go of like 1,000 units of thinking. But beneath those emotions are the desires. So if we let go of 1 unit of desire, we let go of 1,000 units of emotion. It just comes out of that one desire, which is now 100,000 or 1,000,000 thoughts that just all go away. So if you could just pull it out by the root, by the desire, your progress of quieting the mind becomes much faster.
Should we take an example of letting go? Of a precise example of a desire. I'm trying to see one of my desires.
Sure, yeah. And here we can also demonstrate how the mind runs on automatic. And when we start to discriminate, we start to see things clearly. You see, to the mind, desire is something that's necessary. I mean, how could you have something if you don't want it first, right? But when you really examine what wanting is, it's a lacking feeling. In fact, if you look up the definition of the word want in the dictionary, it says lacking, poverty, despair.
So the feeling that we don't have, we miss something
Yeah.
important.
So want is the opposite of having. See, here's the nature of wanting. What desire is it's a present feeling of lacking, of neediness, of not having. And we believe that if we possessed that object or had that experience, then we would be filled up,
Yes.
fulfilled, and be happy. So behind all desire and seeking is one, a pursuit of happiness. It's looking for happiness.
Yes.
And it's looking for happiness in the future. Once I get that thing in the future, then I will be happy. But while we're doing that, our current now state is unhappiness with the promise of some future fulfillment. And you see how crazy that is? How are you going to get positive, get happy by being negative in the meantime?
Yeah, we are running towards a mirage, towards non-existing possibilities in a way, all our lives.
Yeah.
So what you are, not what you are saying, what you are living, Kris, is that the Garden of Eden, it's here and now. And we already find all that we need.
Yeah.
All that we need.
Yeah. The problem is the wanting, because the wanting is creating an illusion of lack. It's saying, I don't have it now. And it's a neediness in the now. And it's actually pushing away the having. The more you want something, the more you actually push it away. And to understand that, just look at the mind and notice how the mind only deals in pictures. Like if I say don't fall down,
Yes.
what do you get a picture of?
Be careful that something will happen to you. It already happens.
Well, the picture is falling down. Or if I say don't think of a monkey, right away you just get an image of a monkey. So the mind doesn't process the words not or don't. It just goes right to the picture. The mind only deals in pictures. And see, you come from a different native tongue than I do, right? And see, when we are using language to communicate with each other, look at what we're doing. We're using words to describe a picture that we have in our mind and get that across to the other one so that they can form a picture that we have.
Yes.
So the mind deals in pictures. And when you are wanting something, notice what you're picturing in mind. I don't have it. It's a picture of separation.
All picture is separation. all the picture in itself means to cut the reality in one piece.
Mhm.
And this means separation.
Well, it's just a picture. So if you're wanting something, you're just picturing I don't have it. That's it. And the mind is a creative instrument. So whatever you picture in your mind, you create. That's your creation. It's like a lens. It just filters that through, and then that's what you demonstrate in your world. So, seeing that, if you let go of the wanting, number one, that picture changes. See, want is the opposite of having. You let that wanting go, and I'll show you in a second, so you can demonstrate this. We're just talking about it here. But it's better when you experience it. And also, not only does it push it away, but that want creates a suffering, a neediness, a lacking feeling now. So want is a lack. And so based on our mind and our mind's understanding of it, we've had it wrong our whole life. So all we have to do is just let go of the wanting. So just take a look at something that you've been wanting.
Yeah, the first thing that comes in my mind, maybe it's stupid, it's what we are doing here. So we are recording, and I wish that this recording and what we are doing here to help people. This is a desire. This is my desire.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is maybe I may find something else, but this is the first thing, and this is precisely what we're doing here.
Yeah. So notice, it's a good intention to want to help people, but notice that picture that's in your mind. It's like that picture of, I don't know if it will help people. Is this the right thing? Are we doing it right? So see, it's a feeling of lack and a picture of lack.
I doubt in a way.
Yeah.
Is it good? Is it bad? So when I doubt, of course, I create also the negative picture. That this is non-interesting, this is a kind of neurotic and so on thing to do. And
yeah. Now what would the opposite of that be? Like what if you had certainty, clarity?
Certainty, clarity in feeling.
And a knowingness.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like an intuition and a trust, just knowing this is in the right direction. See, that's a whole different picture. And it's a different feeling, right? So just imagine, just knowing you had it. You had a different feeling about it, right? And it shows you the opposition between wanting and having. Now, this isn't anything new. A lot of people talk about this, the law of attraction, positive thinking, hold the positive in mind. But the problem is that we have a lot of suppressed negativity, doubts, the negative feelings. And those are all pushed down inside of us. We did it through our whole life. See, all this negativity. You can look at the mind like a computer. You have a virus in your computer. You don't remove the virus. It doesn't matter what positive programs you put into the computer, they'll all get corrupted until you take the viruses out. Right? So, sure, we could try to put a positive thought in there, but if we have mental viruses, and all these viruses, how do we get them? See, our whole life, when things happen that we didn't like, even when we were little kids, our mom told us to eat our vegetables. And we like, I don't like that. We pushed our feelings down, and we push them down into the subconscious, where now they're operating like a virus. So this is like the feelings of doubt, distrust, and questioning ourselves and so on. So instead of trying to put a positive picture in there, let's just focus on letting go of the negativity, which is the desire itself. The desire is a lacking feeling. Right? So now, notice how it's a decision to want or have. It's a decision. See, you've been deciding to want, right? Now just notice, you've been wanting. to be able to help people better, right? You've been wanting it for a long
Not to
time.
have the certainty that I'm doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're not going to just try to flip our mind and go to having. We got to remove the virus, the negativity, the wanting, right? So this goes right back to Bob Newhart. Stop it. This is how simple it is, okay? So right now, could you just decide, yes or no, to let go of the wanting to help people? Just a little bit now.
To decide that
Notice you're wanting to help people the best way, right?
yeah, when I look at inside of wanting, I see the negative position. That in fact, this is not okay what I'm doing.
Well, you've been wanting it for a long time, yeah?
Mhm.
Yeah, and that wanting is the negative thing. And you've been doing it now. Could you let go of wanting to help people? Just a little bit now. I know the mind will be like,
Yes, yeah,
wait,
okay.
why? I don't want to stop wanting to help people. What would that make me? Yeah, but try
No,
it out.
I-
This is
I-
something that's experiential.
I feel so to let go.
Yeah. Could you let go of wanting to help people?
Yes.
Just
yes.
in this moment a little bit.
Yes, I tried to let go this.
Well, don't try. Like Yoda said,
Okay.
don't
It's-
try.
it's
Do or
spontaneous.
do not. Right? Stop it. Okay? So it's yes or no.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
It-
Could
it's-
you? Okay. So could you let go of wanting to help people a little bit in this moment? Now.
Yes.
And could you let go of wanting to help them a little bit more? And could you let go of wanting to help them a little bit more?
First.
Yes or no?
Okay. Yes. I don't want to help people. This is passed through my mind.
Yeah.
I just don't need to help people.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And look at it this way. You're wanting people to get it, to understand, right? Could you let go of wanting them to understand? See, would you rather want to have an understanding, or would you rather have an understanding? Notice they're opposites.
Yeah.
Could you let go of wanting so you could have?
Now I can discriminate between wanting and having.
And you can't do both at the same time. You either want or you have. It's just like either you're standing or you're sitting. You can't do both at the same time. So as long as they're wanting, you cannot have. Could you let go of wanting so you could have? Yes or no?
Yes.
And could you let go of wanting so you could have? And could you let go of wanting so you could have? And even more. And just let go of wanting even more. Notice that wanting has like an energy to it. Just let that go. And let that wanting go a little bit more.
Now I feel that my mind is quite empty.
There you go. You see, when you let go of the wanting, the mind quiets. And you don't have to meditate. You don't have to practice anything. Let the wanting go. You become meditative. The mind gets quiet.
This is kind of meditation, but
But you see, it's a decision. It's very
It's
cognitive.
but it's not a. I try to understand because we've done this before in last year, okay, and now I experience different. So in the first time that you said, "Can you let go?" I was hearing rationally, and I was saying, nothing's happening. But then I look in your eyes and your energy, and all the thoughts disappears. And then I understand that having means to have what I am, to have the suchness, to have me. Then it's really different to put in words. And all the stuff of the television program disappeared.
Yeah.
But how does it works? This simplicity. And I try now to translate what's happening in myself.
Well, you just made a decision. You just decided, yes, I'm going to let it go.
Yes, but it
That's
was
how it works.
you here. to look in my eyes and gently express to me. I think.
Well, okay, it wasn't me who did it. You did it. Now, I've been doing this for a while, so maybe, I'm kind of coming from this place, and you might pick up on, okay, let me do it. But you made the decision. You did it.
Okay, so I understand. Now we are making a tennis match. So you are empowering yourself, and you are responsible. And I try to say, no, we are together in this mission.
Yeah.
So I try to understand intersubjective this. So you are a person who have experience hardly on yourself.
Yeah.
What's mean this place of having, yes,
Yeah.
and you are transmitting me.
But see, like inside of you, you know all of this stuff. It makes sense when you're really clear, like the difference between wanting and having. Just ask a 3-year-old, which is better, wanting or having? Would you rather want an ice cream cone, or would you rather have an ice cream cone? Yeah, I'd rather have. All right. So
okay, but how do you explain? So if I would read the instruction in a book, what you tell me? So please release a little bit more, a little bit more.
Mhm.
With the same thing, than being with you and looking in our eyes and.
well, really what it takes is practice, because there's a lot of momentum and habit of running to that mind and looking to it for answers. And like you said before, you were trying to understand it cognitively and you weren't getting it. But when you just did it, you saw, oh, it works.
Yes, but it works. So when I was trying to understand, I was creating an image to what I will get. And that image, it has nothing to do.
Yeah, because you can't create positive while you have the negative going on. But when you focused, and I think really all I do is I just said, hey, let's focus on this. It's probably when you looked in my eyes. When you focused on, oh, let's just make a decision, stop it, stop the wanting, and I'm gonna let that go. Boom, that clarity happened.
Okay, but what? Another stupid question. Why you are doing this? So why you connect with me, and why you are doing this? Okay, of course, this was your life, but it's something in your intention, pardon, stupid word, that I receive. So what I felt is that you care about me, isn't it?
Yeah, well, when we let go of our thinking, let go of our emotions, all these things that keep us separate in our own little bubble. We start letting them go and the mind goes quiet. We start feeling more connected and one with everything. And all these masters that have come around, Buddha, Christ, Eckhart Tolle, Lester Levinson, they're all coming from the same place. We are one. They're all coming from a place of oneness. And this is an experiential thing. When you quiet your mind, you see everything is your picture, everything in the whole universe is you. So it's not a matter of compassion, there's no separation here. It's just, the love comes out and there's a oneness, so it's a natural thing to do. I'll put it that way.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't even take work or effort. Yeah.
Yes. All I think everything about psychotherapy. So the psychotherapist, if he is not there in this place, a stupid word for what you are experiencing, Lester and Buddha and so on, it cannot pass beyond a certain level. It remains in the wish, emotion or thoughts level, something like this. It cannot. It puzzles me. Buddha said it's impossible to make an institution from enlightenment.
Yeah, here, I'll give you another demonstration here. Can you see you're wanting to know what that answer is?
Please.
You're trying to figure something out, right?
Okay.
And I think I may have covered this on the last video.
Mm.
See, when you listen to your mind, when you are paying attention to that voice that's in your head, that's a mechanism of separation, right? And this is the way that the mind talks to you. It says, hey, anytime you don't know what to do, just ask me. I'm going to help you find the answer. And it has you searching here, searching there. Go read this, go ask this person, and so on. All right? It sends you all over the place. And when you don't get the answer, what does your friend the mind tend to do? It says, Matei, you haven't been able to figure it out. Here's my advice. Beat yourself up. Right? Or get frustrated or like doubt yourself. It's all about beating yourself up. So you see what a good friend that is, that mind. All right? So, to get out of this now, first of all, can you see that your mind doesn't understand? Doesn't have the answer to that right now. So asking it again and again for that answer, and you've been probably looking for that answer, that understanding for a while, right?
Yes, but
okay, so how silly is it? It's like looking in a drawer for an answer, but the drawer's empty. But you keep looking again and again.
I will never understand.
Right,
or I can make a theory for this and live all my life with this theory, but still, it's the stupid thing.
So you see, it's silly to ask the mind. So we can set it aside now. All right? But now take a look to see if you've been disapproving of yourself. Doubting yourself, or
I think
feeling like you don't know.
When I try to translate in cognitive and in cognitive representation, I already have some doubts.
Yeah. And you've been kind of beating yourself up. Like, why can't I get this? I've been doing this for a while. Something like that. You ever have thoughts like that? Okay. All right, so how does it help you to disapprove of yourself? Is that going to get you an understanding? Is that going to get you an answer? By beating yourself up?
Of course, it is stupid to beat ourselves, but still
we don't
go there.
We don't go there. Right.
Okay.
Now, here's the next question. Who's doing it?
A part of me.
Yeah, you're doing it.
Yes.
It's your decision to beat yourself up. So if you're doing it, and it's not getting you the answer, now you can make a decision. Right now, in this moment. I'm either going to be positive and love myself, or I'm going to be negative and beat myself up.
Definitely positive.
Okay.
It's a stupid with self-destruct.
Right. Now again, we're going to let go of the negativity. We're going to get out the virus. So you can't love yourself while you're simultaneously beating yourself up.
How can we let go?
Right now, can you let go of disapproving of yourself? If you're doing it, it's your decision. Now it's a yes or no decision.
Yes.
Could you let go of disapproving of yourself a little bit more?
Yeah.
And could you let go of disapproving of yourself a little bit more? And could you let go of disapproving of yourself a little bit more? And a little bit more. And a little bit more. And a little bit more. Notice how that feels. Just notice if it feels a little bit lighter.
As in the last interaction, let it go. I feel here something very relaxing. So the body feeling.
Yeah.
But again, it's connecting.
Just follow along.
Okay.
See, we're keeping it simple. Now you're moving the right direction. You feel your body's telling you, okay, now I'm moving the right direction. Now, could you give yourself some love and approval? Just because, no reason, right? Could you love yourself?
Yes.
And could you give yourself a little bit more love and approval? And could you give yourself a little bit more love and approval?
that I am I'm very needy for approval.
Okay, so you have a desire for it.
Yes.
Would you rather want approval or would you rather have approval? You can't do both at the same time, can you? All right, so now it's a decision.
To have.
Yeah.
To have.
So could you let go of wanting approval so you could have approval? Just a little bit now. I mean, could you let go of wanting approval so you could have approval? A little bit more.
Yeah.
And could you let go of wanting approval so you could have approval? And could you let go of wanting approval so you could have approval? And notice what you're experiencing now. Does it feel like you have approval?
I have approval, and then my mind told me it's Kris that it mirrors me the approval that I need.
Where are you feeling the approval now? Where is it that you're feeling it? It's inside of you, isn't it?
It's inside of me.
Okay, how can I give it to you? It's you, it's your love.
You're the trigger in a way, but you're the trigger.
I'm just asking you questions, but you're making the decision. All I'm just asking you is make a decision, yes or no.
Now, as I see it, it's very simple to make a decision because we all want to have. We need.
We're looking for it, but
Yes.
we're looking for it the wrong way with wanting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wanting
But when we
is
stop the
better.
wanting, we let that go, we experience that we have it already.
So in other terms, as I see it, we are not often, maybe often, all the time refusing the richness.
Yeah, because you see, when you're wanting, you're picturing lacking. You're picturing not having, and it's a lacking feeling. That's where you're pushing it away. You're creating the separation.
We are addicted to lacking.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Because of that automatic. Remember, I had the 3 aspects of the mind.
Okay, many explanations. This is a reality, in fact.
Yeah.
A very hard reality, dramatic reality, addicted to lacking.
Yeah. So we had to overcome it. It takes practice. But see, that's why I brought up, there's that automatic, the recording and playback aspect of the mind. And there's no discrimination going on. Now, when I ask you those questions, like about, trying to figure it out, and you see it's something that you do automatically. You go asking your mind and running to it and thinking about it. But when I ask you, well, does your mind have an answer? Does it know? And then you stop and you look and you go, oh no, it doesn't have an answer. So it's silly to keep asking it again and again. See, that goes to that 3rd aspect that I said before, discrimination. So you stop and you discriminate. Oh, no. And then I ask you, well, have you been beating yourself up? And how does it help you to beat yourself up? Now, we all have an automatic tendency to beat ourselves up. When things don't go our way, it just happens like that. We go flying off, disapproving of ourselves. Like, I lose my keys, beat myself up. Somebody looked at me funny, beat myself up, or beat them up. It happens automatically. But when we stop and discriminate and go, well, how does it help me to beat myself up? Is that going to give me an answer? No. And who's doing it? See, sometimes we blame our mind or we blame somebody else. When we stop and we discriminate and say, oh wait, I'm doing it. I'm in charge. That's my decision. And if I'm doing it and it's not resolving the situation, now I can make a decision. I'm going to be positive and love myself. I'm going to be negative and beat myself up. And then that can send you down the road of letting go and going in the right direction. So those are discriminating questions.
So when I can discriminate, so I may clearly see that I'm addicted to lacking. When I discriminate, I can better observe how I'm functioning.
Yeah.
So when I'm observing, I may change.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. See, when you're on automatic, all that stuff is in the past. Those automatic habits, those thoughts and feelings, they're all from the past. That mind is a recording and playback machine. And so you're lost in the past. But when you discriminate, now you're in the present. You're seeing things clearly as they are. You're seeing truth. And once you start seeing truth, then it's easy to just drop that illusion. Because you see, it's just been a lie the whole time. That automatic tendency.
Creativity of your life, creativity in general, and discrimination. How can you put together? So when I decide to have, I'm creating my life. It's a creative process.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the mind is always creative.
But
And the difference is that if you're on automatic, then what you're creating is based on past programs, past negativity, all those viruses that you've pushed down subconsciously. That's what you're creating, all that negativity, oftentimes,
yes,
if you have it in
To
there.
repeat automatically the same stuff. This is not creation in person.
So when you pull all that stuff out and you clean it all out, what's left is just you. And you could freely create whatever you want, or not create it, as you choose in the moment, without any automatic tendency doing it for you.
So you are in a whole new territory with all possibilities. This is freedom,
Mm-hmm.
not what we consider freedom when we are addicted to lack.
Yeah.
Lacking.
Yeah. The true freedom is when you let all of this wanting go, and where it leaves you is in a space of imperturbability.
Equanimity.
Yes. Being in the place where no one and nothing bothers you. Not only does no one and nothing bother you, but you're in a place where no one and nothing can give you anything. So you're just in total equanimity. You can go left, you can go right, you're free to do whatever you choose. And in this space, you know that it feels lighter. Like when the mind gets quiet, you feel nice, right? Now that nice, light feeling, that's the real you. That's the unlimited you. And it's a very loving place. So it's not like I'm going to get to this place where I have, no morals, I'm just going to create destruction, whatever. You just are a very loving place, and you can create abundance and harmony and, all that goodness that you're feeling inside when you get quiet.
Yeah, it's difficult for me to ask, to speak, because the energy, the experience, it's so nice. The Garden of Eden. This is my
Yeah.
presentation.
Yeah, and you see in the Garden of Eden, they didn't have to work, they didn't have to do anything, but according to that parable, they got kicked out of the Garden of Eden.
Because
Because it said they ate the apple of knowledge.
the mind.
Yes, means we started to think.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so if we just stop our thinking, we fall right back into the
And
Garden
the
of Eden.
snake, the wish to represent the snake, the woman, the need, the dependence towards an object of desire.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, it's that temptation, the desire. That's the desire. That's the snake.
And the prayer, do not, how is it in English? Do not put in temptation. The Jesus prayer. Do not our relation with temptation. So not to be tempted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to have no desire.
To have not desire, isn't it a kind of desire? Stupid question, my mind. My not
Well-
Hellenic mind.
Well, here's the thing, the mind has a lot of desire. It's filled with desire. And it has a lot of momentum to it. It's what we've been practicing our whole life. So to just say, well, I don't have desire, would be kidding ourselves. It takes practice and it takes consistency to get bigger than that, all of that. Now what can really help you is using the mind against the mind. Using desire to undo desire.
Okay.
It's like fighting fire with fire.
Okay, so
So-
the desire of undoing desire, even though it's a kind of desire.
Yeah. So like if we have a desire for imperturbability, that desire for equanimity, and we now convert all of our other desires
In one.
into that one desire, we can use that one desire to knock out those other desires. And this is something that we practice in this method. See, it's like walking down a path in the woods. And you trip and you fall into a thorny bush and you get full of thorns all over you. And what you do is you take the largest of the thorns and you use it to pry out all the little ones. Now once you let go of all the little ones, you don't need the big one anymore. You just drop it, then you're free.
How do you feel yourself in relation with power of quiet and all your life and all what you're doing in the States and in Europe and so on?
Well, it's interesting. I never had a clue I would be doing anything like this in my life. Once I experienced this, I started practicing this, I knew this is the only way to go. And so, talking about the oneness, it's really like all of us together. It's like, to me, it's like the rest of me. It's just a natural thing. Now, I don't consider myself a teacher. That's why when you say like I'm doing it or I'm...
Okay, you are saying I'm not a teacher.
I'm not doing anything, you know? I'm just here kind of pointing out some discriminating aspects. And then, okay, if I'm doing anything, I'm just kind of focusing in and saying, look, just try it. You know, and you know, don't go into the mind. Do this thing.
You are not doing, but who is doing? You are not doing, you are not a teacher. Who is doing?
I don't know, and I don't care. Yeah, you know. See, the more you let go, the more you're just like witnessing.
Witnessing what's
It's almost like just sitting in a theater, watching a movie play out. I'm just watching. I'm not doing anything. Just kind of watching this body move, watching the exchange of words, and just letting it happen. That's the sensation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't describe it any more than that. but that's-
7DX cinema 24 all around the clock. Yes, it's
Yeah. Sometimes more or less. Yeah, but yeah, that's really the sensation. I'm not doing anything. I'm just watching, letting it happen. If there's anything that I do, it's just letting go.
Letting go. Yes.
Now, see, when you let go, there's a higher intelligence that comes through. Like in the Bible, it says, "It's not I, but it's the Father who worketh through me." That's a sensation. Just let go, and it just flows. It just happens. It happens. The oneness, the unity. Yeah. And I'm just here watching it, and it's a nice experience. That's all I can say.
Very rich. This is what we are longing and we are hoping and we are...
This is the happiness that every one of us are looking for. And the problem is that all of us in life, we're looking for this happiness out there in the world through desire. But look, even when you achieve things, let me give you an example. Say you have a desire for a new car, like a nice Mercedes. Now, you go to the showroom, you pick up a brochure, you go and you read reviews, you look through and you look at the paint options and so on, and you're thinking about, buying this car. You're thinking about it, wondering, well, should I get it? Should I not get it? Will I make enough money? How much will the insurance cost? Now one day, you decide, you know what? I'm just going to go buy the car. And so there you are. You're driving around in your new Mercedes, and you're feeling on top of the world. You're feeling great. Now, you're happy. And where is this happiness coming from? Is it coming from this hunk of metal? Or is it because now you're no longer thinking about getting a car? You actually have it.
Yes.
You see, most of us, we make the mistake of attributing our happiness to that car. And here's the thing is, fulfilling desire, when we get something that we desire, we feel happy for a moment. And our mistake is we attribute it to that thing.
So it's not the object, but the process
It's
of having.
quieting the mind, because we're no longer thinking about it. I'll give you another example.
Please.
An orgasm.
Oh, good example.
See, when you have an orgasm, are you thinking about your meeting tomorrow, your shopping list? No, you're just there like, you're not thinking about anything.
You are having.
Yeah.
You are having.
Well, your mind is quiet. Notice that. You're not thinking about anything. That's where you experience your happiness. And the mistake is we think the other one did it for us. So the point is that you can't achieve happiness by fulfilling desire, because you notice it doesn't take long. Like when you're in bed with somebody, then you think, oh, they're not so nice, and maybe I should get someone better. And even that new car, over time, you're not as happy and satisfied with it. Oh, well, Mercedes, well, it's not a Rolls Royce, it's not a Bentley. Maybe I should get something better. Or I got a scratch on it, now I'm not happy with it. So that happiness that we get, because we're trying to fulfill it through the mind out there, it can never be satisfied. That mind is going to want something else and go right back into the thinking. How do I get something else out of that? That's why we can never achieve happiness through fulfilling desire. We have so many examples. Yeah. Look at the rich and famous. They get to the place where they have everything that the world says is supposed to make you happy. But they're still full of desire. They're not happy. And that's why you have Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, all these people either killing themselves, getting on drugs, doing crazy things, because it's very confusing. I got everything it's supposed to make me happy, but I still have this lacking void inside. And then they have nowhere to go. So that's why they turn to doing all these crazy things. So the answer is, let go of the desire. Then you stop your thinking, and you're in this happy place. That's the real you.
All the activities that are stopping the mind, so being in nature, singing, dancing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. When you enjoy that stuff, your mind is quiet. When you see a beautiful sunrise, you're not thinking of anything. You're just like, wow, wow, right? But the problem is that you have to go out to nature to do that. You have to dance in order to do that. And then notice, after a while, even that's not so satisfying. You go back out in nature, it's not as nice as it was before. See?
And then our society, it push out each of of us to think, yeah, to be a scholar, to read books, to grow your conceptual mind.
Yeah.
And then
That's a mistake. You gotta empty it out. See, first of all,
but this means not to be stupid in a way. So
no, it's not about being stupid. You see, what you start to experience, and this is just something you have to experience for yourself, is that when you let go of the thinking and all this knowledge that you have in your head, what you tap into is a much greater knowledge. And when you don't have any thoughts in the way, you become all intuitive and you have answers for everything. Seriously. You have answers that, like, if you were to talk to a nuclear physicist with a quiet mind, you can give that person answers in their field, even though you've never studied it.
you gave me the answer about psychotherapy. So with a quiet mind, you can even do psychotherapy.
Yeah. Much more effectively. Because otherwise look at what you're doing with that knowledge. You're rummaging around through information. And all that information comes from what? The past. So even if it's good information, it's all from the past. And it's not even fully appropriate for what's now in the present moment. But when you just set all that aside, you are in the now. You have fresh answers, powerful answers that are right for the situation in this moment. So there is a higher intelligence that's beyond the mind.
We are disconnected from a higher intelligence by.
But we all experience it, called intuition. It's just like an immediate knowingness, and it's never wrong.
Okay, now a childish question. I'm again to the Garden of Eden. So all this adventure of being addicted to lack starts from desire, from a woman who offered the snake a woman and the apple. So this is the prototype of this movement, and with the desire, all the world was created in a way. Created in what? In the way that we were experienced now. And I was thinking, why the phenomena, all the phenomena, the subject and object duality arrive in creation?
Why?
Why?
It's just a silly game of limitation that we started playing, just to see what if. And then we got lost in it. Now we're clawing our way around, trying to find our way back out of it. But the way I heard it put before is, why do we do this? Is the difference between having a passive understanding of who we are versus an active understanding of who we are. Now it's like if you go through life always healthy. Yeah, you appreciate health. But if you're sick for a few decades and then you become healthy, then you have a very active awareness and appreciation of what health is. So I think we just did it to really understand who we are, in a way. But yeah, it's a silly little game that we played upon ourselves.
So in order to know what good health represents, you have to be sick. So
yeah, you have to have that duality.
So duality. So duality, by duality, we may experience all the thousands of things. But how come, why? I'm wondering what is the other possibility. So non-duality. And what non-duality means? I don't know. We can feel non-duality.
Yeah, we can never understand that in our mind, but it's something that we can experience. And you experience it already when you just feel nice and light and loving. That's a taste of the non-duality.
And that's who we are, who we really are.
Yeah. So look, it's just up to each of us now to let go of the mind and realize what that new non-duality is.
Many people are coming to you. Yes, many people. But there are people, they're still not coming, even though they heard. And other kind of people that have not even heard about power of quiet. How do you see those meetings? How come that a person came to you and it's open and another it's not open?
Well, I think for a lot of us, we get to the place where we see that the way that we've been doing things just don't work. We're at a gridlock in our lives.
So they are prepared.
And we're suffering enough, and we see that we're not getting answers. And now we're looking for answers from somewhere.
There's quite, I don't know, a supermarket. Now there's many methods and many possibilities. I think in the States, in Sedona, for example, many.
Oh, I lived in the San Francisco Bay Area. I saw lots of methods and practices. And I grew up with both my parents being very spiritual.
Wow, what so your parents, for example...
And I tried when I was young to do meditation with them, like with my father and so on. And I was waiting for this big experience to happen. And when it didn't, I was just like, you guys are crazy.
So you've meditated with your father. What a remarkable image. Your father was meditating.
Yeah, but I tried it and it didn't work for me. And so I said, well, this is all just a bunch of hooey.
So you've met many masters or many...
I've met a few. But the thing is that I wasn't interested in spirituality at all. That's why I said, I had no idea I'd be on this path. But when I stumbled into this, it was like, wow, this is what life is all about. And so I've been all in ever since.
It's not spirituality, definitely.
No, it's just plain common sense when you look at it the right way. Yeah.
We come to the simplicity, so common sense and simplicity. And the mind and to be complicated.
Yeah. So really what you have to do is you now seeing that you've created this mess yourself, that you're doing it. Now you have to take responsibility. I'm going to start removing these viruses. And that's the way that I show, is how to dig all this stuff out of the subconscious. Just keep letting it go, using the simplicity until it's complete.
Okay, for example, if a person feels, okay, I'm so angry, I was beaten, I was not loved, so I'm angry. In order, what to do with this content, psychic content, this angerness? To say yes, how?
Yeah, well, if somebody's just coming up fresh, I just show first the fact that we can let go of these feelings. A lot of us don't even realize that we can. See, most of us, there's 4 ways to handle a feeling. Most of us are only doing 3 of those. The first way that we handle our feelings is we suppress them. We push them down. But see, that's how we collected all of this garbage.
Okay, so I'm not supposed to be angry, for example. Yes, I'm not
Well,
supposed to.
yeah, because when the anger comes up, what happens? You don't like it.
Mhm.
Or when situations happen, things don't go your way, you don't like it. And you suppress your feelings. That's how you push and you start collecting the anger. And it's like collecting those viruses. So suppressing doesn't work. But that's what a lot of us do, right? We're fighting with our feelings. We don't like them. We're bothered by them. We try to push them down. Now, the second way that we handle our feelings is we try to escape them. So we drink alcohol, we take drugs, we go to sleep, we try to change the situation. Maybe we change our job, we change our city, we change our spouse, thinking that that's going to get rid of our problems.
Yeah.
Or we go on vacation, right? Now, that's like, if you have a computer that has viruses in it, it's like moving your computer from room to room, thinking that that's going to remove your virus. Or you turn it off for a while, like you go on vacation. But then you have to come home and you got to turn your computer on and there are your viruses there for you. So escaping doesn't work. The third way that we handle our feelings is we express them. So we scream, we shout, we cry. And it feels like a relief. See, it's like a pressure cooker that's been building up steam and then finally, like the valve blows and we let go of some of that pressure. But what happens is that, like, we scream and shout, or we, maybe we make somebody cry, or we get embarrassed, and then we go right back to suppressing again. So it's an endless cycle.
Yeah.
Even though it feels like a relief, we just go right back to suppressing, and we do it again and again. So that doesn't work. So what I show people now, very simply, like if someone just comes up and says, I got some anger, I just show them a very simple technique. I'll let go of the anger. So then you realize, oh, there's a fourth way now. I can release the feelings. And like you said, it's a difference between saying no to the anger versus saying yes to it.
No, I was thinking about anger management and
Yeah.
I feel pretty, so he's not.
No. See, that's just kind of kidding ourselves. But if you just stop and discriminate, you just see things clearly. Notice how when anger comes up, you're kind of bothered by the anger. You don't like it. It gets in the way. You're like, oh, I don't want you here right now. So for lack of better words,
Okay.
you say no to the anger,
Okay.
right?
So, for example, I feel something hard in myself. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So imagine
Mhm.
you got some anger,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Yes.
You got something that
Yes.
actually gets you angry?
Yeah.
All right, so think about it.
I feel the anger. I cannot express the reason, the object of anger, but I feel in myself some
Yeah,
anger.
okay. So just measure yourself on a scale of 0 to 10. 10 being the most angry, 0 being the least angry. Just see where you're at.
7.
Okay. Now when that anger comes up, can you see that you're saying no to that anger? Like you don't like it. Right?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
not. I can hurt with the anger.
Well, yeah, well you say no to it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't like it.
Yeah. And so I keep
Yeah, yeah. And notice, when you say no to that anger, does that make the anger go away?
No.
Right.
It's like a cover. I'm covering.
Yeah. So saying no to the anger doesn't work. Therefore, if we try something different, radically different, maybe that'll make a difference. All right? So instead of saying no to that anger, let's do something radically different. Let's say yes to it. So look at that 7. Just look at it
I'm looking.
and say yes to that anger. Just say yes to it. And say yes to that anger a little bit more. And say yes to it a little bit more. And say yes to it a little bit more. And say yes to it a little bit more. Now measure yourself again and see where you're at now.
Nothing.
Okay. You went from 7 to 0. And how easy and fast is that? And this shows us that we don't have to say no to it, we don't have to wrestle with it, we don't have to keep it. Just saying yes to it, it went away. So this is a very simple example of how we can release our feelings.
Can we use some other words, for example, instead of releasing? You translate for myself that it's okay to have even anger. That it's
Yeah, well, it's simpler than that, because that kind of gets into the territory of rationalizing a little bit.
yeah.
But notice how simple this was. Look at it, look at that 7, and say yes to it. That's it. That's all. Just say yes to it. Y-E-S.
Okay. All explanation are
Yeah, it's experiential. You don't
Yes,
need to
it's
explain it.
experiential.
Just do it. Just like the stop it. Just do it.
Okay, now for the person that are looking to this recording, so I again, you see, I'm coming back to the other theme. They are not here that they are looking to a person experiencing. So they have two possibilities. One, to come and experience with you, with you. You are coming in. I hope you come back in Romania.
Oh yeah, again and
Okay.
again. Yeah.
Again and again.
Yeah, I do 3-day classes, like I just did here in Bucharest this last weekend. I'm doing one this next weekend in Cluj. And also, I do retreats. I just did a retreat last year up in the mountains at this place called Kila Gradiste.
And the people are working in pairs?
Yeah. See, I first give you a tool and show you how to undo the wants and undo the negativity. So it's just a tool. It's like using a hammer.
So they are doing as we are doing, no?
Yeah. And then I show you exercises that are designed to dig into the subconscious. So you can pull up all the stuff even that you thought you forgot about from the past. You just bring it up and you let it go. And I kind of show you how to do it, and then I set you along to do it for yourself. And people work together, and that way it's the experience of doing it yourself. And by practicing and working on it and doing it yourself, then you get the confidence. So you don't have to depend on me. I just show you how to do it, and then you can take it and then clean it all up yourself.
Can you give us a glance, just a taste of digging in the subconscious?
Okay. Now, to most of us, the subconscious is a dark, mysterious place. And if you haven't noticed, I like to keep things simple. So
I love it.
So all I define the subconscious as is just the thoughts and feelings that you had in the past that either you suppressed or you forgot about. Now, accessing the subconscious is simple. You just ask. And I'll give you an example. It's like if I ask you what you had for dinner 2 days ago. That's not something that you're consciously looking at in your mind. But when I ask, and you look and go, oh, yeah, I had roast beef. So you just ask. All that stuff belongs to you. This mind is like a computer, and you're the programmer. You're the owner. You're the boss. So when you start calling this stuff up, it's going to come up. So we just do exercises that are designed to just ask questions in a way that brings all this stuff up. And you see it and you let it go. You use the tool now. Yeah.
So we may trust ourselves that when we are asking, we have the answer, but not the
Well,
person.
no, you just ask, and like, you know, if you have a topic about a fear, you know, it's like fear is a big problem in your life, and you have phobias and so on, and you don't know why and how they got there. But when you start bringing up stuff, you start getting specific thoughts. Oh, and you see that all of this stuff is just based on past decisions. And you see, oh, I made a decision, I put that in there. And once you see it, it's very easy to remove it. Yeah.
Very easy.
Yeah.
Thank you, dear Kris Dillard, for the certainty and the experience of being in the Garden of Eden.
Mm.
Hope to meet again when you come.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
I just enjoy spending time with you.
Thank you again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm.